Hello, everyone, and welcome to Civic Platform. Foodarama is one of the most important events offered by the Canadian Arab Association of Manitoba. Today, the Arab communities gather under one roof to share their historical custom and delicious dishes so that the member of the community learn about their history of their country of region in a wonderful and unique atmosphere. Let's get started.
Hello, my name is Amani Kattan. I am a board member in the association and a member in the Foodarama committee in charge of the event that is held today. Thank you for attending our event today, the Canadian Arab Association of Manitoba Foodarama event for your program, Civic Platform. We're honored to have you and have you cover this event. The Foodarama event is an event that is aimed at helping the Arab community bond with their origins and their culture. We've arranged for let's say, traditional fashion show where the ladies wore the traditional costumes from their countries. We had Morocco, Kuwait, Algeria, Palestine, Yemen and Egypt participating in the fashion show. The ladies wore very beautiful costumes, and then we have traditional dishes prepared by the families themselves who are participating in the event. This is aimed at helping the community get in touch with their origins, help the young children see how their grandparents and ancestors used to wear, and help them stay in touch with their identity and who they are, where they came from. Because these days, with this fast pace of life, everyone's running, doing everything, their chores, their responsibilities, and we don't have that much time to sit and talk with our children. So the event today is aimed at helping educate our children and help the parents, bond again with their origins and culture. Our agenda today starts with the families gathering together, and then we have the fashion show with traditional music linked to each country. So when the ladies are showing national costumes from Kuwait, for example, the music is from Kuwait. So we're educating in both aspects, from costume aspect and from music. And then when the fashion show ends, we're arranging a buffet of traditional dishes, and the dishes will be marked as per the country they're from, so that the people from each country know their dishes. But we're helping the other Arab countries, get to know what dishes are prepared where. And later on, people will be, just chatting around and getting to know each other. So this is another important thing that the Foodarama event aims for, is that people make new friends, get to know more Arab people, and this helps the Arab community bond more and helps our children befriend people who are more similar to their origins and backgrounds, rather than trying to find new friends anywhere.
My name is Jihan Sadan. I am from Morocco. I work as a corporate account manager with Skip the Dishes, so here in Winnipeg. Well, I am here because this is an Arab event. It includes Morocco, of course, Tunisia, Algeria, and so many countries. So this was one of the reasons. And also it is important because it represents an Arab culture, and it helps discover other cultures as well, beside the Moroccan one. Well, it is important to our community because it keeps us all together, first of all, especially after the the pandemic. It's a really great thing to see everyone again without masks. And well, the second point would be to have Canadians, other people, showing them our culture, our clothes, our traditional food, and so on.
This event is very important for the Arab community because our perspective and our aims are that people come here, especially the newcomers. They don't know people, they don't know how to do things, they need help, they need advice, and what's best than to attend an event and meet people who they feel are similar to them. They will feel like home. You know, this will help them, their immigration and transition to this new country, because they will have people who think their way, have the same, you know, principles and beliefs and everything. It will help them make new friends. It will help them integrate into the community, and their children will have also friends who, let's say, their parents are friends with their parents, so it will help both families build a future and build like a relationship and settle in a better and easier way. The event is also important, as I mentioned, because we're helping them touch base with their origins, whether from the national costume aspect or from the food aspect. And the children learn about the several different dishes, variety of dishes, each from which country, and the costumes also.
I'm Rana Abdullah. I'm a Palestinian Canadian. I was born in Kuwait, but I came to Canada at a young age, and I studied in Canadian universities, and I'm a chartered professional accountant. I also, I call myself a Palestinian activist, and I collect Palestinian heritage traditional thobes, costumes, and I have probably the largest collection of Palestinian heritage garments in Canada. It is very important because it's very important to instill this in our kids, in our youth. We make it possible to connect to our Arab identity because our culture is at a threat. It's a threat from being appropriated. The cultural appropriation is a great risk for us. It's being taken by others, calling it theirs while minimizing us or underwatering. If we don't preserve our culture, we are contributing to weakening it. We have to instill this, and we don't want to relearn the lessons all over again. We have to work very hard on it and make it an obligation. We are reminding the kids of their history to keep their traditions alive, and our identity shaping traditions are very important for them. It is not easy to live in a multicultural society. It is easy to lose your identity when you're living in a multicultural society. It's reminding us of who we are, and those young people are new generation of global thinkers who will define tomorrow. We come from very ancient civilization, and they have to be proud of it. And there are a lot of challenges to our Arab culture, and they know and they feel that. And as adults, we really have to work very hard towards preserving this culture, and we express it, and we continue to teach those lessons, and we have to defend this culture. Like, even though we live in a multicultural society, but this multicultural society sometimes fails materials to support the diverse culture that make the overall society. For example, as Palestinians, we are not allowed to put the place of birth as Palestine on our passports. There are technical theories that saying, oh, was Palestine a territory, or was it a state, or was it a country? And so a lot of people had to take other places of origin as their identity. So there is a cultural threat. We have been assaulted, our culture and our bodies have been negated, and also our culture has been appropriated. So if you've seen in last December, the whole world, there was a social media backslash because of the Palestinian thobes that were worn by the Miss Universe. The Miss Universe contestants appear to be donning traditional Palestinian thobes and rolling those grape leaves and making ma'moul in the Red Sea city of Eilat, where Miss Universe competition was held. They didn't know that the city was called Rash, and it was ethnically cleansed in 1948. They said we are experiencing a Bedouin day in Israel. They never mentioned Palestine. It is horrible to participate and ignore this and ignore the ethnic cleansing of being committed to host this pageant. And it's an ugly promotion where the cultural expressions are the creations of those Palestinian women, and they're not even given any credit. Okay, you like the culture? Give it credit, call it by name. And you have seen today our dresses that belong to us. They are very, very rich and very, very beautiful, and they were done by women all across the Arab countries. So there's the cultural appropriation. They have to acknowledge where that dress has come from, or where this culture has come from, whether there's an economic benefit that's cascaded to those people. If those designers, high brand designers, have acknowledged and use their voices and platforms to make authentic promotional awareness to the culture, to make it visible, that would be much different. But commonly, there's no acknowledgement. It is presented as if it's their own creation, and that's when it becomes an issue. To me, this is like a plagiarism, which is a practice in making someone else's work or ideas applied to them as their own. But we're alive as Arab people, as Palestinian people, despite of all those efforts at Razor. I don't understand how somebody can commercialize a design that is so similar element of identity to a community and put their brand label on it. It's not right. There's cultural inspiration. That's nice. It's good for us. But there's a fine line between the cultural, the inspiration, and the pollution of a culture and tracking down its origin. I'm glad to see that the inspiration coming in our culture, but collaborate with the people who make it. Collaborate with those women and give them some credit. So people have seen today those dresses that are worn by Canadian-born children. Those Canadian-born children, they grew up with family and friends who have a very strong history to Palestine and their struggle for human rights. As born Canadians, they are protected. They are protected from the indignity, the fear, the anger that so shaped the other members of the extended family. They have inherent sense of security and belonging that comes from growing up in a stable and democratic country. They also have strong sense of their history and where they belong. When I made a call to do this fashion show today, I have called one or two friends, then I found 35 young girls coming. They wanted to be so proud, and if anybody has taken a moment to see and admire the dress, you'll see the symbols, the colors. Every symbol has a connotation, and they speak a secret language, and they bury the history of those women who created it. It talks about life, it talks about trust, it talks about origin, it talks about community, and it talks about the village, about the heart and soul of our community. We've seen dresses from ancient pyramids of Egypt, from Maghreb, Morocco, Algeria, and Libya. We've seen from Al Jazeera al-Arab in the Arabian Gulf area. We've seen from Yemen. So those youth, there's a concern that they get one day disassociated from their traditions. Really, it really concerns me. And so their fathers, they have to do something. There's a huge task. There's a lot of work that we have to do. And we have to always remind them of our children how to keep their traditions. And there's not a clear way of doing it. There isn't a clear way of doing it. It's not always easy for them. So I wanted to say that my mission may not be finished in my lifetime. It may not be finished, but I keep building. No sacrifice is too small to get unnoticed. But I don't give up. I'm an optimist. I'm a Palestinian fighter. It's okay if people don't see what I do or know in my lifetime right now, but I want my work to stand for a greater good, for a greater cause. I collect those heritage of various Arab countries, particularly in Palestine, and I collect more from Palestine because this is where my parents come from. This is where they planted their olive trees, and because Palestine is so near and dear to my heart. And my collection, everybody saw maybe 20% of my collection. And many years ago, I was given the wedding dress of my grandmother, who got married in Palestine in 1927. Little I knew that dress was the starting point of my collection, my large collection. And you would see that despite living under dozens of civilizations for centuries, our customs remained the same. That cross-stitch and those motifs and those silky fabric. The custom emerged from the Canaanite period, and it rarely, maybe a little bit modernized, depending on the history and the wars that happened. So this embroidery is taught at home. It's taught at home from mother to mother, from sister to sister, and the women that I collected their heritage are my inspiration. They're my inspiration because they honored me by sharing me their happy and sad times. They lived in refugee camps. My mother used to go and collect them and buy them from Jordan, from Lebanon, from Syria, from Egypt, everywhere in refugee camps. She realized that somebody has to preserve those ones. And there are a lot of memories, and they're with me. And this is what I need to pass, a very rich culture to the future generation. I learned this embroidery under the tutelage of my mother and grandmother. And I have learned those symbols and what they mean, and those colors of the sun that they have, and their meanings, and how long each dress would take. So this is not a trivial matter. It is an art and originating from a culture of people. So certain combinations denote one region. For example, this one is from the southern Bedouin in Palestine. And that dress would tell you what is the status of the wearer of the dress. They would tell you this was a poor woman, this was a married woman, this was a widow woman. It would tell you that their status. And over the years, I have put my collection in a lot of exhibitions in Ottawa, where I spent my youth, and I wish to do more. While collecting those garments, I realized there's a great deal of information that yet has to be found and collected and documented. And there's always gaps in knowledge that I always wanted to fill those gaps, because people who knew those answers are no longer with us. They're not even alive. And I keep hoping to fill those gaps and fill those information. So I made a lot of research for each garment that I have collected by interviewing those women, if they were still alive, who made and owned them. It revealed to me that there was a great harm done to the Palestinian costume during the 20th century because of the occupation and colonialism. Those dresses, they would demonstrate the strength of Palestinian women who have endured the military conflict, the occupation. Those women always managed to make income. Even if their house was demolished, at the corner of her house, she would always able to get the family together and start all over again, and even despite whatever, even from the side corner of her house. I have two main aims. I want to write a story about the lives of those brave women who my mother has collected, and this precious heritage that my mother has collected. And I want to prepare my collection for a museum, and more aptly for a study, for research, for workshops, for lectures, to spread awareness and understanding of Arab heritage. The Israeli occupation has damaged our social life and cultural life of the Palestinian people. And there's millions of Palestinians who live in diaspora. And we do not want to see that our culture got watered down, and so we attempt to blend into the social fabric of the new countries that have taken us in. And we experience multiculturalism as a policy with good intent, and that's really great. But it fails really to support the diverse culture that make the overall society. We have a very tough task to perform. And why should we care a lot about the loss of art and culture? Because in the face of oppression and the separation wall, the bulldozed homes, the shattered, why should we worry? Because our heritage and identity is really our identity, because we've been so assaulted. Our culture, even like our bodies, have been so assaulted, negated, and denied. And the simplest act of asserting we are Palestinian through the expressive forms, even if we say we are Palestinians, it's a form of expressive political act. So it is really, really hard. We have to keep going, and we have to keep continuing, and we know who we are, but there will be a pushback and accusation and denial, but we shouldn't let go. Because the occupation is aimed at eradicating and appropriating our memory and our culture. They eradicate by banning national arts and songs. They appropriate in a very subtle and sneaky way, and we shouldn't let them do that. We have a very sacred task by defending our culture and make it known to the rest of the world. We have to promote our roots and our heritage and memories of the people of Palestine. We have to break the isolation, the cultural isolation of the people. We also have to make international links and mutual understanding with other people. We have unique and strong and valid culture. Our culture unites us. We recognize each other. We acknowledge each other. And we cannot let go of the belief that we have the richest culture in the world as Arab people, and we have to continue building bridges, and that bridge building to build is within. And an event like that, through celebration and the beauty of our heritage, and protecting our culture against misappropriation and teaching the youth, is where we can start, and where we can reclaim our unity and our identity. And I want to be clear that, yes, I'm not suggesting that our culture is merely costume or craft or stitching. It is not. Those are symbols of what we have gone through. But there's a full story to this. The culture in question has a history of oppression. Every Arab country has a history of oppression and colonialism. And we have fought so hard against colonialism. So, and if we get more specific about cultural appropriation, that's my issue, that you are going to see today, what have people seen today is the real thing. Those are the authentic, the real dresses that were done by our mothers and grandmother. And they are the true skill that is done by the people are authentic. And we are taking those youth back to their original culture. And so they know that their culture is very real. The dresses before you, they speak the language of the history of the dress. They tell you the story of a community. They talk about life, and they tell the story of the community, and they represent our identity. Those girls were representative of their country. You have seen their faces. They didn't smile because they thought, I'm the country. I'm walking alive. I'm showing, and so proud. Showing the story of the people who wore this one day, and those who made them as well. The embroidery pattern can determine what is this country. You've seen how Algeria is, Morocco is. They're all different, but not really different. At the end, they blend within the same symbols, the same color. You know, I don't know where those people who were looking at dresses coming from. I don't care where they come from, because I respect everybody. I respect their culture and heritage and social views. Those customs, we're showcasing, they're of very extraordinary value. They are of a very precious value. There are centuries of knowledge and focus. And can we imagine the world of tomorrow, the future generation, without understanding their culture, I don't want to. I don't want to. Maybe not everybody is interested in fashion, but understanding the history behind those dresses is very important to me. Understanding the culture and crediting it to its real people is very important. And my experience that we still have a lot of challenges ahead of us. My advice to parents that you have to embrace the Canadian culture, but you also have to value your culture and you have to be proud of it. It's a country of multiculturalism and very diverse community and very diverse society. While you still embrace the Canadian culture, you continue to be proud of your origins as an Arab, as a person with a very, very rich culture coming from a very good, very rooted civilization.
Yeah, and now we all know that the pandemic has forced us away from each other. It forced us inside our homes. We weren't able to visit people, to get to know new people. We weren't able to go outside. So we're very happy that things are getting back sorts to the norm, and that we're able to hold this event today. We're hoping to hold another event for Eid al-Adha, and but we haven't started the preparations yet. We were focusing on the Foodarama event. Hopefully we'll have you, Zuhair, and everyone else participate in the Eid event. It's going to be something really nice, and it's aimed at helping the children feel the festivity and the Eid spirit.
My name is Casey Chipman. I'm a regional partnership manager for Skip the Dishes in Winnipeg. So I actually came by with a friend of mine, Jihan, and she is Moroccan, and she invited me to an event like this. And I think it's important for me to attend these type of things and gain an understanding of culture, especially being in such diverse industry for myself with my work as well. It's good to get an understanding of what the different cultures value is a big thing, I would say, for me, and kind of learning what it looks like to be someone of this culture. So what I found especially unique is how tight-knit all the different countries were coming together. Is there's so many different cultures in one place that I think it's important to show the cohesion between all these cultures and how they can come together and really support each other and gain an understanding and just kind of be with each other in a positive and great environment where even though everyone is from a different country, it all comes together as one, and it shows kind of like a large family and really a community. I think from when they're settling, I think a big thing is when you're moving from one country to another and you're immigrating to Canada, it can be a lonely experience. And just knowing these events exist and knowing that there's people that they can feel safe around and they can feel like they're not fully lost in a new environment, I think is extremely important. And for them to have these types of events are extremely important to maintaining a part of their culture within themselves and within their community.
The association strategy is rather large. We have within our objectives to help people, help them face the challenges and solve their problems, but we're not going deep into being like immigration consultants. So there are certain boundaries that we need to respect. For now, since we're just getting out of the pandemic, we're focusing on getting people together again, letting them have this socializing aspect and getting together, meeting new friends. But later on we have it within our objectives, but this is something that needs proper strategy and proper planning because we want to help them but not go into being legal or immigration consultants. But this is within our aspects. We're aimed at helping people, we're aimed at helping them face the challenges. There are generic challenges relating to the different culture. They call it the cultural shock. People come here. It starts, for example, from driving. We drive differently here. We have certain things we need to take care of every season. So these are simple things that we can help with, but we're still in the planning process.
Hi, my name is Saif. I am from the Syrian community, and I'm so glad that there is such an awesome event like this today. We are from different cultures here, and we had the chance to see each other's tradition, attire, and food as well. And yeah, it's I think such an event. It's very nice to have here in Winnipeg, and I'm so glad that I'm here. It's important to have the network here, to learn from each other, and to help each other as well, to build your network, and yeah, it makes us happy to see each other, and yeah, I think it's very good to have this event.
Now, I encourage the Arab community to attend future events which we will hold, because at the end of the day, they need to build a community for them in their new life, in their new city, and these events are aimed at helping them make new families here, since our families are away. So I encourage them to attend the events, to follow the association on Facebook. We're there for them. The association was originally established to help the Arab community. We look forward to seeing them again. As a mother, I think it's a good thing that if they attend the future events which we have, because their children, if they're from a certain country, their children will meet children from the same country, which will help the parents befriend each other, and the children become close friends, and they will feel at home also.
My name is Yafa Abdullah, and I was one of the models in the fashion show. I'm here because I like to participate, and because it's important to remember our cultures. The kind of dresses we have today is traditional dresses that were back a few years, I guess, and most of them were embroidery, or like representation of how women love to wear a bunch of gold around their necks, their wrists, their heads, and how they used to love the vibrant colors, the embroidery. Yeah, the models today we were very excited to participate in this. It's kind of different because usually we focus on one single place, but now we actually got to do a bunch of different places in the Arab culture, and it was very exciting and new. My message to the youth my age, or around my age, I'd say, remember your culture. Do not forget it. Practice it every day. Practice your Arabic. Try teaching your your friends or family, whatever. Try to remember your culture. Never forget it. It's a part of you and always will be.
To conclude my feedback for today, I would like to thank Civic Platform for covering our event, and Zuhair for being here with us. We look forward to having Zuhair with us in future events, and we wish the program all the success. Thank you.
These events give a feeling of safety and peace to the members of the Arab community. Here, the children speak Arabic, the youth find new friends, and the families build relationships with each other. These kind of activities also makes the life easier, more beautiful, and faster for stability and integration into Canadian society. We reach the end of our episode. If you like it, please like, share, and subscribe to see our upcoming episodes.